particularly on defense. Offense is the area where they need to show the most improvement this year. Defensively, they've got depth, they've got talent, and that should carry this team early until Bryce Underwood gets it going.
Charles Steinkamp is going to send it away for the Lobos. The freshman Andrew Marsh back deep to return it for the Wolverines. The big house is rocked. Seven Nations Army is playing, and we are underway. The Wolverine season begins here, and Marsh is going to take it out from about a yard shy of the goal line and gets swallowed up at the 21-yard line, which is where we're going to see the #1 overall recruit in the country, Bryce Underwood, take his first snap as a Wolverine.
Yeah, I was here 2 weeks ago and watched them on the practice field. I mean, he is uncannily talented, can make all the throws, is a dual threat guy, can throw off platform. And they're not only better at quarterback this year, they are more explosive looking on the perimeter as well. I expect a lot more big plays out of this Wolverine offense.
We hear humility, but certainly there's an air of confidence that the man who just turned 18 years old 11 days ago carries with him on the field. He's going to get it to his friend Samaj Morgan. Bursts through the double team and picks up 10 on the first play of the game.
Well, that's a great first completion for the young quarterback. Just throw it out there quickly to Samaj Morgan, the slot receiver. Let that quarterback get an easy throw early to get his feet on the ground.
They also have a new running back coming over from Alabama. Here is the first carry for Justice Haynes, who's going to push forward and get taken down at the 35-yard line by Jackson Eck, the captain and coach's son on this New Mexico defense.
Last year, when he was at Idaho, they opened the season in Eugene against Oregon. Jackson Eck was not intimidated, had 14 tackles in that game against the Ducks.
Jason Eck told us that was one of the few moments where he had to sit back, watch the tape, and be a proud father rather than being the head coach. Second down and 7, it's Haynes again, and he gets swallowed up after a gain of 1. Take a look at this Michigan starting unit that is deep and certainly talented.
Yeah, the guy to kind of keep an eye on, #1, Donovan McCulley. They're expecting him to be a big play receiver. He was a transfer from Indiana, actually started his career as a quarterback, and then up front, they feel good about their offensive line. Giovanni El Hadi, #58, the left guard, elected team captain, one of the leaders of this team.
First test for Underwood, it's a 3rd down and 6. Out of the gun. The freshman steps into it. It's Morgan again, and he just shimmies his way across the line again to move the sticks. Second catch for the junior.
Well, KT talked about the relationship of Underwood and Morgan. 2 completions in this first possession. Morgan did a nice job of just showing his number to the quarterback, trusting the ball would be there.
Play action, Underwood. That's a rifle a little bit too high, looking for Channing Goodwin. Man, you see the arm strength, though.
Well, and again, he can throw on the run. He can throw off platform. That one just sailed on him a little bit. Not an easy throw. Talked about McCulley being a difference maker outside. The guy they were trying to get the ball to right there, Channing Goodwin, has also had an outstanding training camp. And they think he's going to have a big season as well as a wideout.
Played 3 games last year, including the ReliaQuest Bowl. You see the high school stats. His overall record, Underwood in high school, 50-4 at Belleville. Led them to 2 state titles. Second down and 10. Goodwin, the motion man. Handoff up the middle. Haynes with a hole. Bursts it to the outside. Now the speed. Here comes Haynes. Touchdown. 56 yards. You're a Wolverine, Justice Haynes.
Chip Lindsey is the new offensive coordinator. He likes to get in spread and the quarterback in the shotgun, but Michigan's identity is power football. This is 12 personnel, 2 tight ends. Watch Marlon Klein and Channing Goodwin open the hole on the outside. 2 tight ends, Bredesen and Klein, they both get key blocks. And Justice Haynes, the home run hitter of the backfield, takes it to the house.
It's a 1-2 punch that Sharon Moore said either one would be a starter at majority of programs. The All-American kicker, Dom Zavada, makes it 7-0. Justice Haynes, we talked to yesterday, he said it's just been a blessing every day. He's thankful that he gets to be a Wolverine. His first couple carries, and he goes with that home run speed.
I just love the blend of formation. Spread, shotgun, under center, now 2 tight ends. Max Bredesen, #44. What did Justice Haynes tell us? When he's in the game, just follow 44. If you follow 44, you're going to know where the ball's going, and this time it goes all the way to the end zone. What a way to start for the new back from Alabama, Justice Haynes.
He said, 44, that's a bad man. He's going to clear the way. He also said his offensive line's blocking with a swagger, and you can see the command that the young quarterback has. Every one of his teammates talked about the way that he's taken this team by storm. They just seem to follow him. Even though he's only 18 years old, he's got that presence about him out on the field.
Yeah, presence is the right word. He and you know, good easy completion the first play. He makes a nice play on third down, and then the running game and that O-line tight end combination does the rest.
So Michigan goes right down the field and puts points on the board in their first drive of the season. It'll be Sunderland, the kicker, to boot it away. And Abe Williams is the return man. He is dynamic. Had 4 kickoff return touchdowns in 2022. And he was a member of Weber State, which led the country at any level. And he is going to try to take this one out and see what he can do with it. Blocking develops, but not for long. He gets taken down by Cole Sullivan.
Cole Sullivan is a linebacker they are really high on. He's going to be on all the special teams early in the season, but probably not by the time we get midway through.
Todd, you brought up the Oregon game for Idaho last year. Their starting quarterback in that game, they kept close, Jack Lane, who played poised.
He played very poised. I mean, that was a 3-point game with about 6 minutes left. Unfortunately for Lane, he broke his collarbone late in the game, wasn't able to finish, missed 7 weeks. But when he's healthy, he can throw the football. He's a football junkie, wants to be a coach, high football IQ, and he was excited about this opportunity to go against Wink Martindale, the defensive coordinator, with all that NFL experience.
He's got Scott Trey Humphrey in the backfield. This was an FCS All-American who gets his first carry and picks up 1 with a group of tacklers around him. This is an offense that's going to be predicated on the run, but they're going to take their shots when they have it.
Yeah, I mean, they want to be effective on first down. Scott Trey Humphrey, they've brought in 4 transfer running backs, but he is outstanding. He's a power 4 type back, and a game like this is a great opportunity for him to show himself. And then up front, Richard Pierce, the right guard, is the only returning starter, a holdover up front. He was in the portal when the staff got there, but he decided to stay and play for Jason Eck.
Pierce, a captain up front. Lane, a captain under center, will roll out under pressure, and it's incomplete, looking for Humphrey.
And right away, this is the situation that New Mexico wanted to avoid. 3rd and 7 or more against a Wink Martindale defense is when it is very difficult. They're not a heavy man blitz team, or they don't take a lot of risks, but they will bring pressure from a lot of different places. And it's hard for a new offensive line, a young quarterback, to pick up.
Year 2 for Wink Martindale as defensive coordinator. Let's see what he dials up on 3rd down and 9. Lane talked about expecting more man coverage against the Wolverines. And they're going to hand it to Humphrey, looking to get to the edge. Chased by Hausman, who gets to him. Gains only a yard, maybe 2. Hillman and Hausman both in pursuit, and a 3-and-out for New Mexico.
Yeah, Hausman, his development last year was really directly tied to the improvement of this defense. Barham, number 1, they like to play him on the edge. Hausman running side to side along with Hillman. The more that Hausman developed in the middle, the better this defense got. And those 2 in the middle, 1 and 15, are the focal point of this Wolverine defense in 2025.
So now Daniel Hughes, the Australian sophomore, will come out to punt it to Samaj Morgan, who they're excited about in the return game this year. It's a good one away. He's got a big leg, and Morgan has to track it. He muffed it. He's going to try to track it down. It's still loose. Who got there first? New Mexico had a chance at it, and now there's a scrum and a fight. It looked like Michigan might have got it, and they did. A sigh of relief in the big house.
Yeah, Michigan lucky, because the way that ball came off of, well, New Mexico knew they had to create turnovers. They almost got the first one. Watch number 7, Tavian Combs. He thinks he has the football. It's bouncing around. He's got Samaj Morgan's foot instead of the football.
No, he got half of it. He got foot, not ball. Underwood to the outside. First catch for Donovan McCulley, and boy, are they excited about the size he brings to the outside.
Yeah, they think he's got speed too. I mean, he's a downfield threat. He's a contested catch guy. This is a guy who was a quarterback 3 years ago when he started his career in Indiana. Actually started a game for the Hoosiers here against Michigan, and has developed as a wide receiver. And they have not had a big presence at wideout. Even when they won the championship in 23, Roman Wilson was not a big physical receiver.
Jordan Marshall now in the game as the running back, along with Bredesen in front of him in the eye. Second down and 2. Here's the carry from Marshall. Trying to find some space. He won't get anywhere. Good coverage. McCray, the linebacker, coming up to make that tackle. And the New Mexico defense that really last year struggled, but completely new unit.
Completely new. The guys to keep an eye on. Keyshawn James Newby, one of the transfers who came over from Idaho, is a great pass rusher. And then the back end, Abraham Williams was also from Idaho, probably the best cover corner. That's Spence Nowinski, the defensive coordinator, came from Memphis, was at Ohio University before that.
Goodwin in motion, up the middle. Marshall's going to get it. He is a physical runner, showed it in the ReliaQuest Bowl victory over Alabama at the end of last season.
And I really like how Chips Lindsey is switching up personnel, going from 12. This is another 2 tight end set. Quarterback in the shotgun, power football, follow Bredesen. Good opportunity here for maybe a play-action shot down the field. Now you're mixing run and pass well.
Lindsey spent the last 2 years in North Carolina. First year with Drake May. Last year, Marion Hampton, elite running back. Over the middle, it's Marlon Klein. He's really improved as a pass catcher over the middle of the field. And a big gainer across midfield before Combs catches up.
See, watch Jackson Eck. He's going to feel on the fake, and that opens it up for Marlon Klein. Play action fake, holds the middle linebacker, and that opens up a seam for Marlon Klein.
And you said, how's Michigan's offense going to look different? How about quick tempo in the first quarter as Marshall stumbles forward for a couple?
Tempo and a change of formation and personnel. Really an excellent start so far that has this New Mexico defense back on their heels a little bit.
And the composure so far from Underwood. You've liked what you've seen?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, they haven't been any difficult throws. I think they've only had 1 third down passing situation. He completed it in the first possession. He's showing a lot of poise right now running this offense.
Now both running backs in there, Marshall and Haynes, who had the big touchdown on the first drive. Handoff up the middle, and Marshall will get it across the 30.
And you know, we can talk about Bryce Underwood and running backs and wide receivers, but make no mistake, for the Michigan Wolverines, this team will go with their offensive line. In 2021 and 22, that's who set the tempo. Sharon Moore, a former offensive line coach, offensive lineman himself at Oklahoma. They want to play smash football. 21 and 22 is the Joe Moore Award. They were the best offensive line. Runners up in 2023 when they won the national championship. Last year, the O-line took a little bit of a dip.
They're going to run it on 3rd and 2, and this time it's Haynes who's going to get it, keep the drive going as Taiwan McCray finally gets him downstairs. They were joking after those 2 years there's going to be the Sharon Moore Award.
Yeah, and watch Bredesen again. He's the guy. You want to follow and find where the football's going. Just watch where 44 lines up and where he goes, and the ball's going to follow him. An outstanding blocker, kind of an old-school fullback type, loves physicality, loves the block, doesn't catch many balls, doesn't get many carries, but he is a valuable tone setter for this football team.
High school quarterback, now a 2-time captain at Michigan. They already are going to their 3rd running back. Kapana gets to the outside, dragged down from behind with a flag down. Our first penalty of the game. And so for the first time, we'll hear from Chris Coit. McCray was the one who was trying to drag him, and we'll see if he got a little bit in that horse collar area.
There is no foul on the play. The contact was ruled legal.
All right, fair enough. It looked like maybe he got up top. Let's see where he did. And yeah, that should be a horse collar.
Sure looks like it.
So McCray maybe gets away with one. Kapana not thrilled, but still threatening right at the red zone. 2nd down and 6. Marshall up the gut, bounces off the first tackler, Eck, and picks up 4.
You know, both of these running backs, Marshall and Haynes, look the same, you know, stature-wise. Their running style's a little different. We already saw Haynes with the breakaway touchdown. He's more the home run, more of the smooth runner. This guy's more of a violent runner, Jordan Marshall, in between the tackles, more of a slasher, but a really nice combination between these two guys who have a great relationship, even though they're competing for carries.
Third down and 2. Michigan 3 for 3 on third down so far. Another run, another first down. It's Marshall.
Well, again, when they want to run for tough yards, they're going to run to the left side. El Hadi, number 58, and Evan Link, the left tackle, 71. They were both on the right side a year ago, but their more natural positions is on the left. And when push comes to shove, they're going to run to the left behind Link and El Hadi.
To your point about the relationship between Haynes and Marshall, Justice said yesterday that Marshall could have been territorial. He wasn't, as Haynes will get it to the outside and get it inside the 10. You know, you had such a great finish to last year. You could have said, well, look, this is my turn. I waited my turn. It's time for me to be the guy. Instead, he said, come on, let's go be the best duo in the country.
Well, and Michigan's history has been two backs both excelling, you know. So, I mean, it kind of fits the mold. Right here in this part of the field is where a guy like Bryce Underwood, you have to be alert for him as a runner, either by design or on a scramble.
You've got the 6'5" McCulley at the bottom of your screen. It's Underwood to Bredesen, lowers the shoulder and gets out of bounds inside the 5. Abe Williams is the one to force him out.
And once again, a third and short where they can run the football. I mean, this is to Michigan's advantage and their offensive line's advantage. And I'm thinking this is two-down territory. I think Sharon Moore likes the way his offensive line is coming off the ball. And I think he's probably telling Chip Lindsey, you got 2 plays here to either get a first down or a touchdown.
Marked at 3rd and 3. Haynes, jump cut, gets away. Oh, it's Underwood with a block, and Haynes walks in. Second touchdown for Justice Haynes.
And a nice little handshake from his roommate during training camp, the senior, Max Bredesen, saying, I taught you how to block. Watch Haynes now, and right here, Underwood's just going to get a key block, and he's not going to go low. He's going to take him on high. Again, 235 pounds, and Underwood says, Austin Brawley, no match for me.
Again, he turned 18 11 days ago as Zavada makes it 14-0. He's 6'4", 230. He's probably going to look strong.
Well, look, this team won 8 games in spite of their offense.
Right.
I mean, their offense was horrible last year. They could not throw the football, one of the worst in the country, even worse than some of the service academies in terms of creating big plays in the pass game. So you know if the offense just takes a few steps forward, the defense is going to be solid. This is a team that could win 9 or 10 games this year if Bryce Underwood comes through.
Abe Williams. Nowhere to go, or maybe there is. Reversing field, Williams is taken down. Fred Moore. So this New Mexico offense for the second consecutive possession, pinned deep in their own territory after a 3 and out on the first go-around.
Jack Lane just needs to keep his poise, get in the huddle, tell his guys, hey, look, there's a lot of football left. Let's just play one play at a time. Control what we can control, do our jobs one play at a time. And it would help if he could get a couple completions here to just get some positive momentum for this offense.
First down line brought to you by T-Mobile. Scott Humphrey is the running back. They could really use a positive play on first down. They put the freshman Cade Keith in motion, and it's going to be Humphrey. Just keeps the legs churning, and that's much better this go around. A couple of yards on first down and make it second and much more manageable.
Scott Humphrey last year was playing for Montana State, and in the opener, he ran for 140 yards against the New Mexico Lobos. Scored the game-winning touchdown with 10 seconds left. So people in New Mexico, they know what Scott Humphrey's all about, and now he's running for the Lobos.
He had offers from UNC, West Virginia, Virginia Tech, and Ole Miss, and decided to go to New Mexico instead. He's off to the sideline on second down and 6.
Nice job of Lane recognizing the corner blitz. Michigan comes out of it.
Good throw, Dorian Thomas. They're very excited about the Arizona transfer. He's going to set up third and about 2.
Good manageable third down situation. 2 very positive plays for New Mexico. That was a good job by Jack Lane, recognizing a potential corner blitz, changing the protection, changing the play, and bringing up third and very manageable here.
That's offensive coordinator Luke Schleissner, as they call him Coach Slice, coming over from Idaho with Jason Eck. see what he has on a 3rd down and 2 against this stout Michigan defense. Humphrey out wide, Lane to the air. Here as he threw it to the sideline, it's incomplete. He got lit up in the backfield, and it's 4th down.
Well, you can't let this guy have a direct run at your quarterback. Barham, number 1, is 245 pounds. They love to blitz him up the middle, but this has to be picked up. There's only 4 guys rushing. You can't let somebody come free up the middle on your quarterback. That's a mistake by the offensive line up front for New Mexico.
He is at times robotic, but man, he can detonate a backfield in a hurry. Lane goes to the side after taking that crunch, and 2 straight 3 and outs for this New Mexico defense. Samaj Morgan a second try after he muffed the first punt, and another good kick. This one's going to get to the ground quickly, and it takes a New Mexico bounce. Morgan's going to try to do something, but nothing there as he's taken down immediately. And this drive will start shy of the 30. Frankie Edwards got down the field, a 56-yard punt to flip the field. Bryce Underwood next. Now 2 drives in, he's led 2 touchdowns and a 14-0 lead. Haynes has scored both of them, and he's in the backfield on 1st down. This drive will start from the 23-yard line. Or the motion man, a little stutter step, and Haynes is dragged down. Jackson Eck got there down low.
I think Channing Goodwin should have picked up Jackson Eck. He kind of ran by him. The receiver was in motion and ran right by Eck, and Eck just kind of went into the backfield and made the tackle. And he does that a lot. Had over 140 tackles at Idaho a year ago. Came here, he wasn't sure he was going to come with his dad. He decided to, and he was elected captain by his new teammates in New Mexico. That speaks volume of the kind of kid he is.
Not only elected, but he was the top vote getter amongst his teammates. 2nd down and 8. Take it to Haynes. Underwood steps into it. It's Marlon Klein again in stride for a 1st down. 15 yards before Combs makes the tackle.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the spacing was right. Both of these tight ends are running the same route, and they were kind of close to each other, Klein and Bredesen. Normally you want a little more separation, but he gets the ball to Klein, and that kid can really run.
Underwood across his body was wide open for Fred Moore, but he dropped it.
This is such a difficult throw. Rolling to his left, right-handed quarterback, still able off platform to make an accurate throw, and that's a ball that probably should have been caught by Fred Moore.
Again, it's probably not overstating anything here. Just the poise that he's playing with is off the charts for a guy who just turned 18 years old.
Well, he's been here since December, and as soon as school ended, he started practicing and getting ready for the Alabama bowl game. So he's been in the building and part of the program since last December.
Pitch it, Haynes, follow 44, but this time Eck comes up to make a big play.
Big opportunity right here for the New Mexico defense. They finally have Michigan in a 3rd down and passing situation. Michigan so far in the game 5 for 5 on 3rd down, and every one of them has been 4 yards or less. So this is a passing situation. And let's see if Keyshawn James Newby, number 1, can't apply some pressure. Here he is right up here, number 1 at the top of the screen.
One of the 4 defensive captains of this New Mexico unit. 3rd and 8 for Underwood. Looking sideline. It's caught, but it's short of the sticks. McCulley about a yard shy. There's tight coverage with Abe Williams, and he does keep him in front to keep him short.
And see, to me, that's on the receiver. McCulley's got to get past the stick on that. He's got to get past the 1st down marker, because the pass is going to bring him back a little bit anyway, away from the defender. And again, McCulley still kind of new as a wide receiver. I think he needed to take that route about 2 yards deeper and secure the 1st down.
So it will be a punt for Hudson Hollenbeck. He's earned the starting job after Tommy Doman had it the last couple of years. Gets this one deep, a little too deep, as it sails into the end after they've been pinned back on 2 kickoffs. The punt went into the end zone, so they'll start from the 20.
Deshaun Buchanan now is the back. Transfer from Idaho. They brought in 4 backs. Ironically, all 4 of them led their respective teams in rushing a year ago.
Little trickeration. This was expected from Michigan. Keegan Johnson gets to the outside and does gain 3. Jerome Moore was wary of what Jason Eck was willing to do and pushing the envelope a little bit, and the transfer from Iowa gets some positive yardage to likely end this first quarter.
TJ Met
Believing that they could compete with the likes of a Michigan on the road. This is clearly the biggest stadium that just about everybody on this team has played in. Even Autzen Stadium last year only holds about 55,000. This one 107,000 plus. And so for Jack Lane and this offense, we'll see what they can do with a 2nd down and 6 to start the second quarter. Bryce Underwood has stayed active through the game. Sharon Moore talked about sustained energy after that initial kickoff, and they have provided it so far through 15 minutes. DJ McKinney, the back on 2nd down. We'll motion him to the outside. Rush comes, quick throw, quick catch. There's the first down of the game as Dorian Thomas gets popped on the back end. Picks up 9 in the process.
Oh, very good first down play. Quick throw. It's out of the quarterback's hand. Good job by Thomas finding the soft spot in the defense and sitting down. Takes a shot and holds on to the football. He's a transfer from Arizona. They're very high on him. High athletic ability.
He was listed as the strongest player on the team by the EA Sports college football game, and everybody said that's not what he does. He's fast. He moves. That's a weird rating. Play action for Lane. Right back to his tight end. Dorian Thomas with back-to-back catches. This one goes for 8.
What they like about Dorian Thomas is his athleticism. You know, Jason Eck told us, look, you know, when we were at South Dakota State, we had some good tight ends. Dallas Goedert, Tucker Kraft, a couple guys that are in the NFL. And this guy is very similar athletically to those guys.
So especially Dallas Goedert, a way that he moves around the field. He said his football IQ, they're still developing, but the athleticism is there. He's got all 3 of Lane's completion so far for the 22 yards, and now sets up a 2nd down and 1. Couple of running backs in there. And it's Lane who's going to keep it himself and dive forward to move the sticks.
Nice decision, little zone read. Keep this Michigan defense honest. Watch him read the outside. He's reading Cam Brandt, number 9, the outside defensive end, who's going to close on the play. And a good read by the quarterback to pick up the first down. Talked about the depth of this Michigan defense. They don't have the star power they had last year, but up front, they've played 9 defensive linemen already in the ballgame, including their edge guys. They didn't have that kind of depth a year ago.
The quote has been they believe they have 10 starters, and this time they're going to combine to make the tackle. TJ Guy, Eno Etta, both in there on the tackle.
Take a look. Last year, Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant were great players, both first-round draft picks, but they played so many snaps, many more snaps than their backups, and I don't think it's going to be that way this year. I think they've got 5, 6 guys that Wink Martindale has at his disposal that they're going to rotate through there. Lou Esposito's the defensive line coach, does a great job, and they feel very comfortable playing and rotating all of those guys in.
Those numbers courtesy of PFF. A 2nd down and 11 for New Mexico to the outside for Johnson, and he is just met. It's a wall of Mason Curtis who couldn't be moved.
Mason Curtis is a safety and a very big safety. He's 6'5", 211 pounds. Sophomore out of Nashville, Tennessee. There's a lot of young talent in this secondary. They're veteran up front. They're veteran at linebacker. Very young in the secondary. They want to play a lot of guys tonight and kind of said, hey, whoever plays the best tonight is going to play the most in Norman, Oklahoma next weekend.
Sharon Moore, Wink Martindale have both said it's going to be an ever-changing depth chart defensively. It's just whoever's best through the week of practice and in the game prior will start the next week. Lane steps up, got hit as he threw it. It's knocked away. Tight coverage by Zeke Berry, and Lane again ends up on his backside on a 4th down.
Initially, this is pretty good protection. Jack Lane is going to get hit right as he's releasing it, and that takes something off of the football. Not sure he would have gotten the ball there anyway, but the hit right as he's releasing it, he's not able to step in or follow through on the ball, and it comes up short in another punting situation for the Lobos.
Lobos now 0 for 3 on 3rd down. And this Michigan defense starting to feel it a little bit more. A couple of first downs there for New Mexico, but stalls out just shy of midfield. Now they'll try to pin them deep. Hughes Another bouncer, but this one veers out of bounds, and let's see where they mark it.
Shankster there.
Out at the 28-yard line. That's where Michigan starts.
Ann Arbor.
All right, John, appreciate it. Welcome to the team. Glad to have you as a part of our Big Ten Saturday night family. You look at the offensive numbers just in the first quarter alone. 57.5 yards was the average last season. They shattered that, more than tripled it in this first quarter here tonight. It's Underwood on first down. Again, across his body. That was dangerous and knocked away. Brawley got a hand on it.
Because he's a right-handed quarterback rolling to his left, it takes a little more effort and time to get his shoulders around. And because of that, this pass is late. And it was almost intercepted. Nice play by Austin Brawley. They're trying to get it to Donovan McCulley, their big receiver, and Brawley does a nice job timing that out and breaking it up.
Second down and 10. They send Morgan in motion. And get it to him on the outside. They say, get the ball in this guy's hands and let him do the rest. Dynamic with the football as Brawley bangs him out of bounds.
I like this Austin Brawley. When I talked to defensive coordinator Spence Nowinski earlier in the week, I mean, he loved the guy. He recruited him out of Massillon, Ohio. Great football program, the Massillon Tigers. Recruited him to Ohio University, coached him there. Says he's tough, he's gritty, has a high football IQ, and he can really run. And that time we saw him run to the sideline and deliver a hit at the end of the play.
Nowinski, old school, gritty, hard-nosed football coach on the defensive side. And his defense has set up a 3rd down and 7 for Michigan. It's Underwood. Good protection. And he's looking for Klein. Just out of his hands. Brawley again made plays on all 3 of that series.
And the best defensive possession of this New Mexico team of the night. Their offense had some momentum the last possession. This was their best defensive possession. Force a passing situation on 3rd down. Ball a little bit high, intended for Klein. And Brawley there to make the hit. But a 3 and out for the Lobo defense.
So 4th down and 7. Now Brawley's going to go back to return this punt. He'll come up and make the catch. Didn't signal for the fair catch, so he gets planted by 2 shy of the 30. This will be a 28-yard line start.
Involved in the game. He's been quiet so far. Ziel Smith, number 0, a freshman receiver. They're very high on him. He was committed to Jason Eck and his staff at Idaho. He came to New Mexico. He is yet to see a ball tonight, but he is talented.
Split Buchanan out wide, empty set. Lane feeling it, batted in the air, and picked off. TJ Guy vacuums it in. The suffocating nature of the Wolverines defense comes alive.
Well, the pressure is going to come right here. I think the ball hit the helmet of his right guard, Richard Pierce. It wasn't a hand, it was a helmet. That's why the ball popped up so high, and TJ Guy is able to come down with it right off the back of the head of his own teammate, and TJ Guy corrals it for the turnover. The pocket collapsed, and TJ Guy comes away with the interception.
Expected to have a huge year. Had 5.5 sacks, 7 TFLs last year. But now his first interception, and he didn't style one arm to drag it in and set him up right away in the red zone. Jordan Marshall.
2 tight ends again. They really mixed his formations.
Hand it, Morgan around the edge. Samaj Morgan has speed. First down and goal.
Stepped out of bounds. Didn't get knocked down, but he stepped out. Samaj Morgan is very comfortable in what they're doing with him offensively right now. Chip Lindsey wants to keep him in the slot primarily. He's dangerous with the ball in his hands. And he has already had a pretty active night in this new Michigan offense, knocking on the door for a potential 3rd touchdown.
Williams single coverage with Abe Williams at the top of your screen. And Donovan McCulley there across the rim, but it's Marshall up the middle, 2nd down. Morgan talked about how excited he was for this new look offense for Michigan.
Yeah, Chip Lindsey came from North Carolina. You know, he was there 2 years. He had Drake May 2 years ago. He had Omarion Hampton for those 2 years. You know, they led the league in passing with May's senior year. They led in rushing with Hampton. And so far, he's had a very nice blend of run pass for his young quarterback.
Marshall stood up at the line of scrimmage. I wonder if they're going to give their freshman quarterback a chance here. He hasn't scored a touchdown yet. It's been 2 from the transfer running back Justice Haynes so far.
Really nice play by Tavian Combs, number 7 right there, coming up behind the line of scrimmage and making the stop on that play. 3rd and goal. You may see him put him on the move a little bit, give him a pass run option here. We haven't seen him as a runner yet.
Marshall stays in there on 3rd and goal. Bredesen in motion. Play action. Underwood tipped at the line and incomplete.
Underwood's pass incomplete.
A really nice job. Kaiwan McCray, number 20, this linebacker, he's going to get here and get a hand on the football. He gets a hand on the football, knocks it up in the air, and those typically end up in interceptions. Bryce Underwood lucky this ball wasn't picked off. Trying to get the ball to Bredesen. And a nice play by McCray in the red zone.
So Dom Zavada, the 2nd-team All-American last year, Big Ten Kicker of the Year. He only missed 1 field goal, but it was from inside 30 yards. This one, however, is perfect. 17-0 Michigan. They get points off the interception from Guy and extend the lead at home. One for his last 5 since. Michigan converted on their first 5 third downs, but has missed out on their last 3. Sunderland will send it away. Abe Williams still looking to crack one loose. And he'll try it again. Bust through. Williams stays on his feet, but not for long. He gets twirled down again shy of the 20 at the 18-yard line.
Well, time now for Big Shots, brought to you by Nissan. The Michigan defense, we talked about the linebackers. Ernest Hausman running sideline to sideline. The focal point of this defense, 15-1. Here's Barham. They love to blitz him in pass situations. And then watch Damon Payne, 44, collapse the pocket. Ball's deflected, and TJ Guy, one of their edge rushers, comes away with the football. They've got depth, they've got talent, and that time it led to a turnover and points.
At the end of the day, it's still going to be the linebacking crew that is the strength at the top for this defense. Yep. They believe that this is the best linebacking room in the country. As Lane goes back to his main man, Dorian Thomas, with a catch and run and a first down to the 30.
Right now they've got Jimmy Rolder in their number 30, and Wink Martindale, when he talks about Jimmy Rolder, he says we consider him a 3rd starter. I mean, we can roll him in there. Had a very good camp, played well at the end of the year. So right now they've got Rolder and Barham in there, and Ernest Hausman getting a little bit of a break.
Hausman the captain, Barham the punisher, Sullivan the most improved, and Rolder the 3rd starter. Lane lofted, that was dangerous. Humphrey couldn't corral it, and Barham had a chance at an interception if he looked up.
Yeah, all he had to do was look and find the football. He was just going for the knockout hit, and he didn't find the football. See, his eyes were on the runner, Humphrey, trying to deliver the blow, and if he'd have kept his eyes up, he might have had a pick and a pick 6. Jack Lane knows he got away with one right there.
So instead of a dangerous situation for New Mexico, it's a 2nd down and 10 and an empty set. Lane over the middle, it's wide open. 2nd catch for Keegan Johnson. This one extends and gets past the 40-yard line.
Now this is a good throw and catch. Keegan Johnson, the veteran, they want to get him involved. Nice quick throw. You know, when Jack Lane talked to us the other day, said the experience of playing Oregon and Autzen last year, the one thing he learned from it, my internal clock had to speed up. These guys can rush the passer. I had to get rid of the ball quicker, and he felt like he could take that experience into the night. He showed it on that play right there.
Let's not forget that Idaho was down 14-0 to Oregon heading into the half. and then made that a one-score game with 6 minutes left in the fourth. Up the sideline, Humphrey tiptoeing, and he gets past midfield to mark him out at the 48-yard line of Michigan. This was last year, season opener. Idaho goes on the road to Autzen. Jason Eck brings his team, and boy, did they have some major contributions. That was Keyshawn James Newby, who had 2 sacks in the game. Jackson Eck had 14 tackles, and here was the touchdown from Lane. This made it a one-score game in the fourth quarter. It was 17-14 before Oregon would score late in the ball game to eventually come away with a close win. New Mexico trying to draw on the experience. They've got a number of transfers from Idaho who played in that game as Humphrey keeps the legs going and gets the first down to the 45-yard line.
I'm pretty impressed with Scottre Humphrey, and Jason Eck told us, he said, look, he's a guy that could have gone to a Power 4 school. He got better and better. We knew all about him at Montana State. And games like this are so important for a guy like that, because if NFL scouts want to take a look at him, the first film they're going to put on is the game against Michigan or last year against Oregon. Those are the games playing against that level competition that is going to get the attention of NFL scouts.
Humphrey out, McKinney in on first down. Free rusher. Lane gets rid of it in time. It's through the hands of the freshman Ziel Smith. Time now for the Modelo game break. Here's John Fanta.
In Norman, yes, Michigan will see Oklahoma next week. Well, John Mateer in our Modelo game break finding Keontez Lewis for the 28-yard touchdown pass. Sooners taking care of business in week 1.
Sooners looking strong so far. Oklahoma graduate Sharon Moore played 2 seasons with the Sooners on the offensive line, going back to Norman next week with his Wolverines, hoping to be 1-0. Buchanan is the running back. He's at the bottom of your screen on second down and 10. They get it to him on the screen. Good blocking in front, and Buchanan gets it across the 40.
Yeah, really nice job out there by Dorian Thomas, number 7, and Keegan Johnson, number 6. Both got good, clean blocks to spring that play. It's important to block legally, and both guys do. They keep their hands inside. They occupy their receiver or the defenders. And a nice play on second down for the Lobos.
Buchanan stays in there on third down and 3. Michigan nearly jumped off sides. Flag does come in to the sideline, and it was brought in. Johnson on the outside, but it was blown dead.
Yeah, they blew the whistle to stop the play before the ball was snapped. I don't know if the players heard it. I thought this was a dead ball penalty.
Meanwhile, looks like somebody on a knee for New Mexico. One of the offensive linemen, he is up on his feet for Jason Eck, and now we hear the flag, first penalty of the game. Here's Chris Coy.
2 fouls by the defense. Offside in the neutral zone at the snap. That penalty's declined. Pass interference, defense number 19. Automatic first down at this spot of the foul.
So the play does go on, and it was the free shot on the offside.
I thought I heard a whistle. That's why I thought it was a dead ball. TJ Guy was in the neutral zone, didn't make contact. So the play was able to continue. And then here's the penalty on the back end. So they decline the 5-yard penalty and take the big one, and it's an automatic first down for the Lobos. Nice drive going here late in the second quarter.
Lane rolls back to the other way. It's Thomas on the catch, letting the blocking develop. Thomas bounces off of a tackler, and he's got the first down. Mason Curtis finally stops him in his tracks, but he did get past Hausman, which is no easy task.
You know, one of the ways you slow down a defense that can really run is you go misdirection. Run this back, run that back again. The offensive line did not even move. The Michigan defense came across the line for New Mexico didn't move, and that enabled them to get out and set that play up.
Lane, jump pass, he gets planted by Hausman. He said, I'm not going to miss 2 tackles in a row.
Let's go back to this play. Watch these guys just stay in their stance. The quarterback rolls away, the defense comes to him, and now they've got an escort out in front of Dorian Thomas.
Big 15 in blue. Buchanan didn't even have a chance. That is a textbook tackle. Sets up second down and 5, but New Mexico threatening for the first time. Humphrey's back in the game. He's got the rock. And Humphrey surges forward to the 10.
I know that Michigan has kind of controlled this game, but doesn't it feel like New Mexico is feeling a little more confident?
Settling in.
Like they can play in this ball game.
Let's not forget that they won the toss and elected to defer. So you've got 3:19 and counting here. All 3 timeouts on both sides and the 2-minute timeout. So a lot of time still left in this half. Michigan could easily get this back and score, but putting yourself in pretty good position right here with a score.
Well, points are paramount on this drive because this has been an impressive drive for Jack Lane and the Lobo offense.
Lane 5 of 7 on the drive. He's going to keep it himself here, and he just can't quite get there. He does get a positive yard, and now it's 4th and a short 1 and a decision for Jason Eck.
It looks like he's already made his decision. He's sending in personnel to keep the offense on the field. Really nice job by TJ Guy. He destroyed the block, he collapsed the play, and then fell back and made the tackle and held him short.
McKinney is the back on 4th and 1. Lane has been using his legs throughout. Oh, they're going to snap it to McKinney. Throw it to the end zone. What a play. Touchdown, Thomas. The Lobos get loco in the big house.
Well, first of all, great job fielding the snap because the snap bounced. It was not a clean, good snap. That was Lobstein, right, who was in there. We knew he might play in running situations. He starts under the center. They snap the ball back to McKinney, and they get the touchdown. Right through the legs of the quarterback, McKinney fields the low snap, and the trick play works.
There's Wiki on for the extra point, and it is 17-7 in about as fun a way as possible as the Lobos get on the board.
Well, Dorian Thomas already 6 catches in the ball game. 54 yards and that touchdown, but well-executed trick play. But again, McKinney, the poise to field the snap and then make the clutch throw.
Jason Eck fired up. Again, Sharon Moore expected some trickeration from New Mexico coming into this game. Jason Eck also knew that there were going to have to be some risks taken. But to your point, the biggest thing that he stressed to his team was belief above everything else. Even the result doesn't necessarily matter as much as believing that you can compete at this level.
You know, and that's a play that I'm sure they worked on a ton of time. He said, look, we're going to run this. If we get a 4th down, if we're down there in the goal line, we're going for it. We're going to run our play. We're going to shoot our best shot. And so as soon as that situation came up, the personnel came on the field, you could tell the decision was made to run that play, and it paid off for a touchdown.
So 17-7. Again, remember, New Mexico gets the ball to start the second half. And so you've got 3 timeouts, the 2-minute timeout here. We'll see if Michigan can leave their mark at the end of this first half after 2 touchdown drives on their first 2 drives. Since then, it has been tough sledding against this New Mexico defense. Andrew Marsh, the freshman from the goal line, trying to hop over the top. And the ball came out. New Mexico jumps on it. The Lobos got it. And it's Steinkamp, the kicker, who recovers it. What a turn of events.
Sharon Moore was excited to see Marsh as a kick returner, but also a little concerned, being a true freshman. Ball's carried a little bit loosely. Look how it's away from his body. And before he goes to the ground, it's ripped out.
What a great job. Randolph Kapai, the linebacker, after Johnson went down low, Marsh was off balance, and Kapai just got his hand right on the football.
Well, and that's because the young freshman was not carrying the ball in a secure way, returning that into traffic. It got away from his body, and it was ripped out. And Jason Eck's team is right where they want to be.
Well, we asked Jack Lane what it's like playing for that man right there. He said, you hear, as you see Steinkamp, the kicker, was right in the right place at the right time. You hear players coach all the time. He embodies that and then some. It's a family environment, and you can see how he celebrates with his team, a former player himself. This one should be a fairly quick review, you'd think.
If I'm Luke Schleissner
After review, the ball came loose prior to the runner being down. It's first down, New Mexico.
I'm calling a play right here to take a shot at the end zone.
Sure.
You have changed momentum. You've quieted this crowd. You've got Michigan a little bit flustered. This is a great opportunity to try to go play action and see if you can throw one to the end zone and get a big play.
Well, as well, the time is very much on their side at this point. 2:18, so you've got the 2-minute timeout, all 3 timeouts, and you get the football to start the second half with outstanding field position inside the 30. We asked Coach Eck about the keys to the game, and one of them was protect the football, but also be timely about trying to poke it out. They listen here. It's a first down. Lane, dump it over the middle. It's dropped through the hands of Damon Benston, the running back. And Hausman delivered.
A little bit high on that throw. Just trying to get a little drop down to the back. See if he could make a guy miss. Again, this pressure is quick from the Michigan defense. I mean, even when they rush 4, they get quick pressure on the quarterback. You can't hold the ball very long for any long or hot, low, slow developing kind of passing plays.
Keep in mind that Luke Drizwicki, the senior kicker,
Their first of the half, 30 seconds.
New Mexico will take their first time out. His career long is a 47-yard field goal. Last year, his season long was 45. It would be about 47 yards from right here if they don't get any yards for a New Mexico team that is completely revamped from what we saw last year. Last season, you had a brand new team essentially under Bronco Mendenhall that included an all Mountain West first team quarterback in Devin Dampier. Their top 4 leading running backs gone. Receivers gone. Offensive line essentially all gone. 36 outgoing transfers. You bring in Jason Eck, 3rd head coach in the last 3 seasons with 75 new players, which is the 2nd most in the FBS behind only West Virginia, who's got 81 new players this year. And for New Mexico's offense, the returning yardage, this is courtesy of PFF, minus 11 rushing. You say, how's that possible?
Yeah.
Well, they count the kneel downs as team rushing. They lost all of their rushing production from last year, so minus 11 yards returning.
I'm just trying to wonder, I don't know why they called a timeout right there.
Sure.
You know, they could have waited till the 2-minute timeout, kept their 3 timeouts, and tried to not let Michigan get the football back.
Here's Lane to the outside, incomplete. He was looking for Keegan Johnson, and now with 2:08 to play, it's a 3rd and 10, and now an eternity for Michigan defensively if they get another stop.
Yeah, tried to move the quarterback out of the pocket to get away from that pressure, but excellent coverage downfield, that time by Zeke Berry. The 2 corners, Zeke Berry, Jair Hill, played a lot last year. They're both kind of tall, long, they've got length. They're counted on to kind of being leaders in that young defensive backfield this year.
Bankston split out wide on 3rd down and 10. Now motioning to the backfield. Play clock under 5. Lane, shovel, Bankston, nowhere to go. Converged after a gain of 2. From this range, it'd be about a 45-yard field goal as we head to the 2-minute timeout. And it will be a 44-yard field goal attempt for Luke Drizwicki, who was 2 for 5 from 40-plus last year.
The only Michigan native on this New Mexico roster.
And Drizwicki sweeps the leg and sticks the kick. Michigan born and bred. We've got a little extracurricular after the play, but New Mexico is now within 1 score after being down 17-0. And Jason Eck is trying to make sure that his guys stay out of here. He wants to make sure that they keep their composure. Jason Eck, you can take the player off the field, but you can't take the player out of the coach entirely.
Well, he's an offensive lineman himself, and that's his best offensive lineman, and he's corralling. Malik Alian, number 51, coming out of spring, they said he was their 8th best offensive lineman, and now he's their best. And he just wants to make sure, number 1, Alian stays in the game.
88, wearing number 99.
But Jason Eck, an offensive lineman at heart, longtime offensive line assistant coach. And those are his dudes. And right now, his team is 1 score behind.
He'd worked for a couple of impressive coaches. And you see the quarter difference. It was all Michigan in the first quarter. It's been all New Mexico in this second quarter. They've held the ball for nearly 10 minutes and scored the 10 points. He worked for Barry Alvarez after playing for him. But then John Stiglmeyer, he worked for several years at South Dakota State. And he said the main thing he took from both of those guys is the ability to breathe confidence into your team. He has done exactly that as Andrew Marsh lets this one sail for a touchback, and we go to KT.
Well, guys, the Lobos arrived at Michigan Stadium yesterday to take pictures and stretch prior to their game tonight. They don't normally do that on the day before a game, but Coach Eck told us his Idaho team did it last year when they played at Oregon. He feels strongly that his athletes need to soak it all in before game day when they play at one of these legendary stadiums. They're likely going to do it again later this season when they travel to Allegiant Stadium, home of the Las Vegas Raiders, to face UNLV, but so far it's looking like that plan may have worked out pretty well for them.
I mean, this was the direct quote, KT, that came after that. He said it's a little bit like the movie Hoosiers. Maybe we have to measure the goalpost and show them that it's the same as ours. They could use a Jimmy Chitwood right now as well. First down and 10, and they're going to lose yards. Michigan's offense going backward as Xavier Slayton, the transfer from Idaho, gets Justice Haynes quickly.
Michigan with all 3 timeouts. They lost 2 yards on that play. Interesting to see how long of a leash they have for Bryce Underwood on this drive.
First chance to see him in a 2-minute drill. And he had to get rid of that one. Somehow he kept the ball in his hands as he got sandwiched on a big hit by Brett Carhu.
Timeout, New Mexico, their second and a half.
So now New Mexico getting aggressive after a couple of negative plays for this Michigan offense.
Watch Carhu. This guy is going to beat Evan Link as the quarterback steps up. Carhu was at Memphis last year with Spence Nowinski. Plays with a high motor, toughness, and he gets the sack that time. Back-to-back negative plays for this Michigan offense. I'm not sure you even try anything dangerous at all here on 3rd and long. I think you go very conservative. You punt the football, and you try to regroup in the locker room, because right now all the momentum is with the New Mexico Lobos.
Do you think that Carhu was trying to tell us he has that dog in him? Meanwhile, Michigan was 5 for their first 5 on 3rd down. They're 0 for 3 since, and this is their longest yards to go of the night. 3rd and 14. New Mexico still has a timeout left. They'll get the football back. Let's see how aggressive each side goes. Klein in motion, Haynes the back. They will throw. It is Underwood taking a shot. Open in the middle of the field. It's Goodwin in stride, and he'll take it into Lobo territory. The freshman delivers on a strike.
The best throw of the night. Watch the inside receiver clear out. He runs the safety out of there to open up the hole, and Goodwin runs right into it.
39 yards on the catch. Up the middle, Haynes.
Things not going well. Back-to-back negative plays. What a throw on 3rd down. Chip Lindsey rolling the dice, trusting his young quarterback, and now they got something going.
They're going tempo, keeping the timeouts in their back pocket, and that somebody wasn't set at the top. This is going to be a flag against the Wolverines.
And when you're going fast, the quarterback has to make sure everybody is set for 1 second. You can only go as fast as that allows you to.
Offense, not all 11 players were set prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty.
Looked like McCulley was the one who wasn't set.
Yeah, now those guys have to get set quickly.
Michigan is using its first timeout of the half. It's 30 seconds.
So it makes sense that the Wolverines take their first timeout. Keep the clock where it is.
Well, what a throw again by Bryce Underwood. Channing Goodwin had a great camp, ran a nice route there. The inside receiver cleared out. And just a beautiful throw to convert that 3rd and long.
It'll be 2nd down and 9. Underwood with time, slings it to the outside. Another catch. This time it's McCulley for a first down.
First down will stop the clock momentarily to move the chains, get lined up, get there quickly. Bryce Underwood running the hurry-up offense.
Morgan, catch. Morgan, run. And he'll pick up 7 on first down. They're just going to keep working on the hurry-up and try to retain these timeouts with under 40 seconds left in this first half. Second down and 4. Haynes weaving his way through. It's a first down inside the 15.
The ball carrier.
Again, clock momentarily stops. Samaj Morgan had to come out of the game. His shoe came off. I think that's why Michigan uses a timeout. They want him on the field in this critical part of the game. So call a timeout and get number 0 back on the football field.
He was actually running that route with just one shoe. I know he's explosive, but only so much you can do traction-wise there. So it was a fairly lack of resistance for this Michigan offense in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Second quarter, New Mexico has stepped up, certainly defensively. Obviously, we've seen what they've done offensively, but the first real test of a 2-minute drill for Bryce Underwood, this has been impressive so far.
Well, it has, and I mean, one critical play. I mean, back-to-back plays, first and second down. New Mexico clearly won the downs, and then third and long, he just ripped a seam post, and all of a sudden, everything has changed, and momentum has swung back a little bit to Bryce Underwood in this Michigan offense.
First down, 1 timeout left, 30 seconds remaining in this first half. Haynes is the back. Underwood to the air. Looking end zone, wide open, Klein, touchdown! Bryce Ball down the field, and Underwood has his first of many.
Well, great route by Klein. Coming out of the timeout. Beautiful call by Chip Lindsey. It's an out and up for the tight end Marlon Klein. And the linebacker, watch the linebacker bite on the out. And then Klein goes up the sideline into the end zone. Linebacker bites, perfect call. And Underwood capitalizes.
Zavada makes it 24-10. Underwood on that drive. 5 for 5, 68 yards. And his first career college football touchdown.
Out of the timeout. Call this by design. Underwood knows he's got the matchup he wants. The linebacker bites. Then all you got to do is just get the big guy the football. You don't have to lead him. You don't have to make a perfect throw. Let him go up and make the catch. And you got a touchdown pass.
It is not easy replacing Colston Loveland, who was the 10th overall pick in the NFL draft. But Sharon Moore talked about the tireless work ethic that Marlon Klein has brought, and the connection that he already has with Bryce Underwood has been apparent.
For Bryce Underwood now, the first of what Michigan fans hope will be many, many touchdown passes in the maize and blue.
144 first half yards. The touchdown pass, Justice Haynes, the transfer from Alabama, has 2 rushing touchdowns, including a 56-yard rip on the first drive. And Michigan goes down the field in 1:35 to extend this lead back to 2 scores. Sunderland sends it. Williams will take it from the 2 and see if he can make something happen. Not this time. Chopped down the field. Forbes makes the play. Don't miss AGT, summer's #1 show in its epic 20th season. America's Got Talent, new Tuesday on NBC and Peacock. So New Mexico, only the 1 timeout. You've got to imagine they kneel it down, go into the half here, down just 2 scores.
And just how quickly things change. I mean, they were kind of taking control there until that 3rd and long. And I'll tell you what, I credit Sharon Moore for having the confidence and the guts, not only in Chip Lindsey, but also in this freshman quarterback to say, go ahead and go for it here after back-to-back negative plays and rip one on 3rd down and make it a 2-score game now at halftime.
Sharon said to us that we're going to do what Bryce Underwood did well all of camp, in the spring into the fall, why he won the starting job just 5 days ago officially. And Michigan with a couple of impressive defensive plays, some special teams.
Starting with the clutch 3rd down play, 5 for 5, 68 yards, and the touchdown decline.
New Mexico deferred to the second half. They'll start with the football after a touchback, and we go to KT.
Well, guys, Jason Eck told his team at the half, we've got a game now, we've got to start believing, but in order to do that, we have to execute better. On third down on both sides of the ball, he said we have to run the ball better, we have to make more stops. He thought it took his team a while to settle into this game, and he said give credit to Underwood. He is not playing like a freshman. We are going to have to play better in this second half in order to have a chance to win this game, guys.
Well, KT, the third down for New Mexico, they were 0 for 5 in that first half. Now, the good news, they were 1 for 1 on fourth down, the touchdown trick play, but they must be better on third down. Part of that is being good on first down to give themselves a chance on third down to run or pass.
Play clock already down under 5. And the handoff off the middle. Scottre Humphrey didn't have any big ones in the first half. This one goes for 15 yards, the longest rush of the night for the Lobos.
When you talk to the New Mexico coaches about Humphrey, what they say at 210 pounds is his initial burst, his ability to get from 0 to 60 quickly, and you see it right there, running through the tackle of Rayshon Benny, a defensive tackle, and then tacking on yardage, power and burst, and a nice run for the first down.
At 140 yards and a touchdown in the season opener against New Mexico with Montana State last year. He's going to go again this time, getting towards the outside for 3 as Jair Hill comes from the defensive backfield and goes down low. So if Humphrey can get going a little bit more than he did in the first half, that completely changes the dynamic of this offense.
Well, it makes Michigan respect the run, commit some more bodies, and opens it up for some play action passes where you can get some chunk plays with good protection off of play action.
Humphrey stays in there but splits out wide. Second down and 7. And a flag down. There were no penalties against New Mexico in the first half. Looks like that'll change here.
False start. Offense number 51. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
And that is the Frenchman, the redshirt junior, Malik Allian.
Yeah, just a hair quick out of his stance. Going to work on TJ Guy. And just a little bit before the snap.
Are we positive that he was early?
Either that or he's just super quick. One or the other.
Is the flash out there? So they call the false start, back him up a little bit, and make this a little bit of a tougher look. And that was in tight coverage. Looking for Humphrey, and Jayshawn Barham, the linebacker, was draped all over him. Lane took another shot as he let it go.
Derek Moore, watch number 8, just beat the right tackle, and it just gets to the quarterback. This just happens too quick. That's a little TE stunt. The tackle goes first and goes outside. The end comes inside. The guard doesn't pick it up, and Derek Moore plants the quarterback. The guard and the tackle have to work in tandem against that stunt.
Lane has taken some punishment, but he's only actually taken 1 sack in this game. Meanwhile, 3rd and 12. Again, the third downs have been difficult for the Lobos. Lane over the middle. It's caught. It's going to be short and then dropped at the end. And yeah, they're going to roll this down.
On the field is
I think it's incomplete.
Pass. It's 4th down.
It was Dorian Thomas who looked like he had it initially, but not enough time in his grasp, and so they will call it an incomplete pass.
Yeah, it looked like he had the ball, but didn't come down with it or make a football move afterwards, and the ball comes out. I don't know.
So we'll say he didn't survive the ground. Mason Curtis was the man there to help jar it loose. And after an early first down run from Humphrey, not much more for New Mexico, they'll punt it away to Samaj Morgan. Michigan acutely aware now of any sort of mischief from the New Mexico side after that trickery play touchdown. And this is a beautiful punt that'll pin them inside the 10 all the way down to the 7.
And got his team in the end zone.
So what does he have as an encore after his first collegiate touchdown? This drive's going to start from the Michigan 6-yard line. Justice Haynes the back. Fake it to him. Lob it. Klein. What an adjustment. Spins away and gets across the 30. Klein showing it all.
Well, New Mexico thinking run all the way. Klein shows block and then releases, and just the touch by Bryce Underwood just to the outside over the defense, and Klein with the catch.
Haynes stays on his feet, showing off some power with a flag down back at the 30.
Illegal formation, 5 players in the backfield, offense, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Third penalty against Michigan.
Correction, it's first down.
Marlon Klein now 4 catches, 81 yards and a touchdown. Last year with Colston Loveland, he was primarily the blocker. They knew he had to step up and improve his game as a receiver, and he looks the part tonight.
New Mexico has elected to decline the penalty. It's second down.
All right, so snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. And here we are on second down. After a couple-yard gain from Haynes, it was a 27-yard pitch and catch from Underwood to Klein. Underwood nearing 200 yards now, up to 171 in the touchdown. Jason Eck looks like there's some level of confusion on his side. And it all leads to second down and 7. Fake it to Haynes. Underwood steps up on the run. A bullet over the middle. It's caught by Kendrick Bell. Lowers the shoulder at the end, and Underwood is slicing this defense now.
Well, back-to-back throws. We see the touch on the throw to Klein. Now we see the power. Rolling right, across his body, a dart to the crossing receiver, Kendrick Bell, and Michigan in business again.
30 more yards, gets Underwood up over 200 at 201. He's looking for more, he's got more. And no, they're going to call it incomplete as Goodwin didn't squeeze it properly.
Most all of this is off of play action, off of the run fake. You have to respect the Michigan run game. Goodwin not able to come down with that catch, but most of these passes are moving the quarterback after a play fake to go right with and marry with that run game.
Second down and 10. Underwood 14 of 20 on the evening. Haynes stays in there. Underwood looking to sling to the outside. Goodwin chewing up more yards near that line of game. Abe Williams just keeps him in front. We'll see what the spot looks like.
A lot of passing on this drive right here. I would expect to see Chip Lindsey go back to the ground a little bit. Sharon Moore told KT, we got to get back to running the ball well. They had 100 in the first quarter. In the second quarter, they only had 29 yards rushing. They're nearing the red zone right now.
They were 4th worst in the country in passing per game. They're already up at 201 here tonight and looking for more. Underwood, fake to the outside. Oh, the freshman Marsh wasn't even looking.
There was a little combo route out there, a little switch release by the 2 receivers. The outside receiver, McCulley, came in, and Marsh never looked up. I'm not sure he was going to be open or would have had a chance to catch it anyway, but he definitely was not on the same page with Bryce Underwood.
So now second down and 10, and let's see if they do go back to the ground with Haynes in there, already with 2 touchdowns today, nearing 100 yards himself in his Michigan debut. Marsh stays in there in motion, and they do hand it Haynes. Surges forward, runs into Jackson Eck. Third down.
Jackson on the tackle. It's
It was Haynes with a 56-yard touchdown on the opening drive. Then he had the score from in close on their second drive. But since then, the running game hasn't been quite as effective. It's been more of the passing game with Underwood, who had the touchdown to Klein on the drive right before half. And now another slight test for him on third down and 7 just outside the red zone.
You have Klein singled out here to the bottom of the screen. 3 receivers to the top.
Underwood over the middle, a little bit behind Klein, and it's dropped. He got walloped by Brawley on the back end.
Oh, that's a play where it looks like Underwood knew if he throws it in front, his receiver is going to get hit right in the mouth. He throws it a little bit behind to protect the receiver, but Klein not able to come down with the catch. Brawley was going to hit Klein right in the mouth if that ball's thrown in front.
From the 29-yard line.
And a field goal attempt now for the Wolverines.
39-yarder, it feels like it's almost automatic for Zavada, who hit allegedly a 70-yarder in this stadium just the other week. And as expected, he drills it. 27 attempts, and they played like it. This man, in his first game as a Wolverine, is 18 years old, 211 yards, and a touchdown through the air. leads them to another scoring drive with a field goal from Zavada, and re-extend this to a 3-possession game in favor of the home team. Sunderland will send it away. Abe Williams has tried consistently to find any sort of crease in the return game, but he's had little to no luck, and this time he'll just let it sail in the end zone.
Well, the one thing New Mexico knew coming into the game, we're not going to just push these guys up and down the field. We've got to do some trick plays. We've got to do some things to try to create big plays. This little funky little screen to Dorian Thomas, and then the touchdown. I got some intel on this play. That ball was intentionally rolled back to McKinney. And, of course, nobody picked up Dorian Thomas. They had Lobstein in, the quarterback. Michigan expecting a quarterback run. Perfect trick play call at the right time, 4th and goal. Gutsy call by Jason Eck. And that's what's kind of kept them in the ball game, because they knew they're not going to be able to just drive the length of the field against this stout Michigan defense.
Remember, they were down 17-0, then scored 10 straight points after the fumble on the kickoff return. This one's going to go to the freshman Ziel Smith. They've been trying to get him involved, and his first catch will go for 9 yards.
Nice little play right there. They kind of faked like they were going to throw the ball out on the perimeter quickly, and then Jack Lane got his eyes back to his freshman receiver Smith, and a nice conversion on 1st down. And this is what 1st down is critical for New Mexico the rest of the game. 3rd down has not been good to them. It's not going to be good the rest of the game because of how Michigan plays on 3rd down. So you've got to be efficient and effective on 1st down.
Humphrey in the backfield, fake it to him. Lane's in trouble and he goes down. Barham got there. Ball came out. Barham scoops it and takes it in. The machine at linebacker, Mr. Do Everything, does exactly that on this play.
Well, Tevin Shaw is in at right tackle. This is Barham and this is TJ Guy, 2 of their best pass rushers, and it's one-on-one.
The ruling of a touchdown is under review.
And Barham gets there, delivers the hit. Ball comes out, he picks it up and brings it to the end zone. But, I mean, this is a vicious hit.
Was he down before the ball came out? And it looks like he is.
Yeah, butts down. And credit Jack Lane for somehow holding on to that football.
While they sing Living on a Prayer in the building, it feels like at times that's what Jack Lane's been feeling. All he can do is pray against this pass rush. But this one, in all likelihood, is coming back to New Mexico football. Barham's speed is absurd.
I have a question for Terry. Is there any way they're looking at this because it was such a high hit or not?
They should be looking at targeting. He is defenseless because he's in a passing posture. Now, we can go through that. At a minimum, it's roughing the passer. If it doesn't meet all the requirements for targeting, it should have been roughing the passer, because he gets roughing the passer protections because he is in a passing posture. Now, as we look at it, it's hard to say there's an indicator. We need to see him lower his head and lead with it. He's more trying to make a wrap-up tackle. I don't think it has an indicator for targeting, so I would doubt they're going to create that. But at a minimum, it should have been roughing the passer, Todd.
This is where it feels like the difference of the crown versus the face mask. Terry's point, doesn't have that launch with the helmet down, kind of off to the side there. There is helmet-to-helmet contact, and it is such a gray area within that rule and figuring it out for oneself. I'm glad you got Terry in. It's been too long. I was waiting for the moment.
Well, it was definitely a wrap-up by Barham. I mean, he is going for the wrap-up, but he is just such a violent football player at 245 pounds. And again, credit Jack Lane for somehow holding on to that ball. Tevin Shaw, number 77, was no match for Barham, and that's why, again, we talked about the 2 inside linebackers, Houseman and Barham.
After review, personal foul, targeting, defense number 1, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic first down, number 1 is disqualified.
So now Barham not only out for this second half,
Yeah.
But he's out for the first half next week in Norman, and that is a massive loss for this Michigan defense.
Massive.
Terry, just take us through again what you saw and eventually what they decided on, which was targeting.
So it's clear that the replay officials in the command center felt that he did have an indicator. He did lead with his head and make forcible contact to the head neck area of the defensive receiver. I see it more as a wrap-up tackle, but this is subjective, and that was their decision.
And you can hear the response here in the big house because they understand what Barham means to this defense. You talk about the strength being the linebackers, and he and Hausman together mean so much. Now, it does help when you have the depth, and Jimmy Rolder's described as a third starter, but the bigger issue is for next week in that first half against Oklahoma.
They need all hands on deck in Norman, and that's very unfortunate for Barham.
So New Mexico has it now near midfield. Humphrey bottled up after a gain of 1.
Now the question for New Mexico, can they capitalize on that fortuitous thing? I mean, not only do they keep the ball and get a first down, but Michigan loses one of their key players.
And you can see the frustration. Barham just started ripping off all of his gear. Still 9 minutes left in this third, so they won't have him for the final 24 minutes of this game and the first 30 of next week. New Mexico with a golden opportunity at midfield on a 2nd and 9. McKinney the back. Lane, another free rusher. It's Hausman who hits him. Oh, he put it in the right spot. Nearly picked on the carom. It was Buckley who had a chance at it. Hillman came in and jarred it away and nearly had the pick.
Yeah, credit Jack Lane for getting rid of this football. There's going to be another free rusher coming right at him. And he's not gun shy. He's going to hang in there and deliver the football and at least give his receiver Buckley a chance. Unable to connect, but Hausman with a low hit on Jack Lane and a wrap-up tackle. Everything clean about that hit. And Michigan forces another 3rd and long situation.
Lane has taken some nasty blows in this game. Just got that one off in time on 3rd down and 9. Lane on the run. Delivers. It is fought for.
They're saying catch. I thought
It
he
is
was
caught.
gobbling it, but they ruled it a catch.
Buckley. Let's look at it here. Doesn't have it. Doesn't have it. Doesn't have it. Never had it before he went out of bounds. They're going to try to get to the line quickly.
Yeah, he was bobbling the ball.
And they got it off. So this one will stand as a catch after it looked like it should have been a clear incompletion. And Terry, are you seeing the same thing we are?
Absolutely no. He never has control of the football before he gets out of bounds. This is absolutely an incomplete pass. Replay officials should have stopped it and corrected it.
It was also their longest play of this game of 20 yards, a huge 3rd and 9 conversion. Now you're back in field goal range and your momentum's on your side after Barham was ejected.
Your very first 3rd down conversion. Can they capitalize? 2 breaks for New Mexico on this drive.
McKinney back out there, 2nd down and 7. To the outside, it is McKinney who gets wrapped up immediately. There is that 3rd starter at the linebacker spot, Jimmy Rolder.
Rolder reads it quickly, sheds the block, and gets off there. Keegan Johnson, the receiver, was trying to block Rolder. That was a mismatch, and Rolder won it for the tackle.
So they convert on 3rd and 9 on what should have been an incomplete pass. Now they've got a 3rd down and 6. They are 1 for 7 on 3rd down on the night. We've seen a couple trick plays. Do they have another one up their sleeve here? Knocking on the door.
Well, that's been their guy, Dorian Thomas, number 7. There he is.
Thomas, good blocking. He's going to have it and then some. Stays on his feet. Thomas down to the 16.
Really nice job because what they did, they put him in a blocking situation. And he fakes block. Watch him hesitate like he's going to stay in a block and then release late. They get alignment in front. A well-designed and executed play and their 2nd, 3rd down conversion of the football game.
They had failed on their first 6 3rd down attempts, and now back-to-back on this drive. Set them up at the 16-yard line with a 1st down. See the numbers for Thomas, easily their most productive receiver with his 7 catches. Just about half of Jack Lane's completions have gone to the tight end. Had to get rid of it. It is caught, but behind the line of scrimmage, and Rolder's right there to make the play.
Playing pass complete to Dorian Thomas. Jimmy
Now,
Rolder on
Jason Eck going up against this Wink Martindale run defense. Jerome Moore's team overall has had some sparkling moments.
Yeah.
But as he talked about, they've got to be more consistent on both sides of the ball. He's felt good about what the defense has done, and Wink Martindale's going to try to see what he can do to make sure they stay out of the end zone on this long drive.
Well, negative play on first down in the red area is a big-time play for Michigan's defense.
Lane, that one was tipped at the line and short with a flag down. Looking for Keegan Johnson.
Looks like offsides against Michigan. Another break because that was not a well-thrown ball by
Offside
Jack
in the
Lane.
neutral zone at the snap. Defense number 8. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
That's Derek Moore.
And Jack Lane looked like he was a little hesitant getting rid of the ball. Derek Moore on the edge. Gets off too soon. Jack Lane kind of short arms it, but they get the penalty for offsides.
Second and 7. Ninth play of the drive. Handoff, Humphrey up the middle, spun down to the 10.
Right now, Jason Eck and offensive coordinator Luke Schleissner have got to be thinking about what plays can we get a touchdown. Field goals I don't think are going to help them at this point. They need a touchdown here. They've gotten some breaks. They got to find a way to get the ball in the end zone.
Meanwhile, Richard Pierce just ran away from Ernest Hausman after that play because Jason Eck said, we're not getting involved after the play. Watch this. So you see Pierce, he got pushed by Metcalf, and Hausman came up and he goes, no, I'm out of here. Good speed.
Yeah.
At 6'2", 311, and he is off the field. Jason Eck making sure that he's talking to his captain. 3rd and 4. And a whistle, timeout Michigan.
Timeout Michigan, their first of the half.
Something that they have not shown yet to the Michigan defense coming out of this timeout. Again, their go-to guy has been the tight end Dorian Thomas. Here he is right here, number 7.
Buchanan is the running back. Johnson the motion man. 3rd down and 4. Lane on the move. Buchanan the catch and the first down. It's 1st and goal for the Lobos.
Really well executed. They took Dorian Thomas and ran him to the end zone, and then they threw to the underneath man. The back coming out of the backfield, they brought motion, and they got the ball quickly to the back out of the backfield for the first down. Now this is Lobstein. The last time he was in, they ran the trick play and the ball was snapped between his legs. He is a running threat, and Jason Eck told us that we might see him in specific packages as a run threat in the goal line area.
There was a close quarterback competition between the two of them. Lobstein up the middle, kept his footing all the way near the 1-yard line.
And that's the kind of play that Coach Schleissner told me he's comfortable with, running quarterback counter, quarterback power in between the tackles. That's exactly what that was, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it again.
Wink Martindale has seen 2 long drives against his defense. The first one resulted in the trick play touchdown on 4th down. Let's see what New Mexico can do here. Or will it be a Michigan stop right at the goal line? Just inside the 2. Lobstein stays in there. Keith, the second tight end in motion. 2nd and goal. Lobstein got hit in the backfield and dragged backward. Michigan was ready this time. Damon Payne.
Well, TJ Metcalf made the play. Watch number 7 get in the backfield and slow the whole play down. He gets a hand on the quarterback enough to slow him down. Payne wins his one-on-one and gets the tackle. But Metcalf was there first to disrupt the play. Now it's a throw situation on 3rd down, and Jack Lane back in the ballgame.
New Mexico, you see on this drive, 3 for 3 on 3rd down. They were 0 for their first 6 prior. Humphrey in there, Lane in there, 3rd and goal. Lane looking towards the end zone, incomplete and a flag. Keegan Johnson, the intended target, a lot of contact with Jair Hill, and then some chatter after the fact.
Yeah, we need to get away from there. There's no reason to chatter. He got the penalty, got what they needed, It's going
pass
to be first and
interference.
goal on the
Defense
1.
number 20. The foul occurred in the end zone. It's first and goal from the 2-yard line.
Yeah, Hill had his hands all over him. He's holding him as he's trying to get outside. It's an intentional back shoulder throw. Keegan Johnson has strength. He's a physical receiver. And Jair Hill just couldn't keep his hands off of him on that play.
Johnson, 6 foot, about 200 pounds. Has nearly 1,000 yards in his career and 5 career touchdowns. He'll go to the side, first and goal. Got to imagine it's going Humphrey's way. Couple extra linemen get out there. Now they split their tight ends out to the left. First and goal. Lane floated. End zone. Caught but out of bounds. Mangum forced him out. Dorian Thomas looked like he had it, and then Mangum with the celebration.
Yeah, just a little bit too far on the throw.
Meanwhile, Thomas looked like he got up gimpy after this. He's going to the side. Leading receiver with 8 catches and 62 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, Mangum does a good job forcing him out, but that ball, I don't think that Thomas would have got a foot down anyway. The ball was thrown too far. Now Lobstein back in the game on second and goal.
We'll keep an eye on Thomas. Lose the top weapon. Second and goal. Lobstein the runner. Play clock under 5. Can they get this off in time?
They got to call timeout.
They got it. Lobstein is devoured.
Jason Eck tried to call timeout. He wanted to get this play stopped, and they basically had a wasted play there on second down. They had one good quarterback run inside, and the last 2 times Michigan has stuffed it. Play clock is down. Michigan expecting inside quarterback run, and once again, TJ Metcalf coming from the outside makes the play. I mean, you got to make him respect something outside of him because he's chasing the play down.
So Lane comes back in, as does Thomas. Play clock's all the way down to 10 by the time they break the huddle. Buchanan the running back. Play clock down to 5. Fake it to Buchanan. Lane fading. End zone. Touchdown! Thomas wiggles free for his second of the day. The Lane train finds Pater.
A beautiful job by Lane. First of all, retreating away from pressure, then making an accurate throw to the back of the end zone, and a beautiful route by the tight end. Watch him. He's going to work on Jair Hill. Watch him shake Hill at the line of scrimmage, get separation, and get to the back of the end zone, and a perfect throw by Jack Lane. Hill is their best cover corner, and the tight end, Dorian Thomas, just whipped him at the line of scrimmage.
Drizwicki on for the extra point to get this to 10, and he does. Jack Lane deserves 17-10 after the touchdown drive engineered by the quarterback Jack Lane. Steinkamp will send it away. Marsh already has a fumble on one kickoff return, and this time he gets leveled again just past the 20-yard line. A nice hit there.
Well, New Mexico quarterback Jack Lane, his numbers 18 to 30, 128, but he has shown toughness and courage against this Michigan defense. He has taken some direct shots several times with 3 rushers coming at him, and he's just hanging in there. And then this touchdown, retreats, perfect throw to the back of the end zone. This guy is showing something in the area of toughness and courage, and he's got his football team right where they want to be here in the 4th quarter.
And TB, let's not forget the broken collarbone last year at Oregon, but he also had the elbow injury which kept him out of the spring and was the reason he wasn't the guaranteed starter heading into fall camp. Had to win the job, which he did last week officially, and he has played his tail off against one of the more stout defenses in the country. To the outside, Marshall with a flag down.
Well, best run that we've seen in a while for this Michigan offense, but I think they're going to get Andrew Sprague.
Offense, number 54.
Yep.
10-yard penalty, first down.
The right tackle.
As this play bounced to the outside, watch 54 kind of reach and grab. The defender tries to break free to get to the outside, and there's the grab on the shoulder pads and a good call.
So now first and 20. We've seen Bryce Underwood operate with some surprise adverse conditions at times so far tonight. What does he have now? Pinned deep. On the move to the outside, incomplete. A little bit high for Goodwin, who got planted immediately.
Yeah, and the problem is Goodwin didn't catch it the first time. The ball was in his hands. He couldn't make the catch. He took the hit and wasn't able to come down with the football.
Frankie Edwards, the third, delivers this pop.
It was a little high, but a catchable pass.
You could see Goodwin felt it right away. There's been a lot of jawing between these two teams.
Yeah.
New Mexico has clearly made their presence felt.
Well, we've seen poise from Bryce Underwood. He has to show poise here and be smart. Second and long in his own territory.
Strain climb. They'll get back close to the original line of scrimmage to the 19-yard line.
Good safe play. Good call by Chip Lindsey. Get that yardage back. Give yourself a chance here on third down. This looks very similar. This is 3rd and 13 when it was 3rd and 14 and he ripped that dig route right at the end of the first half. Let's see what they have dialed up on this one.
It was that man Goodwin who caught that bullet pass from Underwood at the end of the second. Let's see who he goes to here on 3rd down and 13 from the 19-yard line. Underwood under pressure, gets away, dumps it off, and not much room for Marshall to work with. He gets past the original line of scrimmage, but it's 4th down, and the New Mexico defense with Eck and Williams gets it done.
Well, the first time we've called James Newby's name. The transfer from Idaho, the pass rusher. Watch how quick he is off the ball. He's going to beat Andrew Sprague, and this forces Underwood to leave the pocket and then just has to throw underneath. He's not able to stay in there and read it downfield. Excellent pass rush, gets low, gets around the right tackle, and forces the quarterback out of the pocket.
2 sacks last year against Oregon, and now a punt. Hollenbeck, fair catch called for and made. Good field position at the 41-yard line for Brawley in New Mexico. Time now for the Modelo game break. Here's John Fanta.
Noah, the Fighting Hawks are flying of North Dakota out of FCS. This is Sawyer Seidel. 20-yard touchdown run. North Dakota has the ball. 2 minutes to go, looking to pull off the shocker in Manhattan.
Well, that would be a shocker, and New Mexico is trying to follow suit. Yeah. It's week 1. Crazy things are bound to happen somewhere. It was only a matter of time to find it.
Week 1 is where you see those kind of games because over the long haul, the depth of the bigger schools shows itself. But early on, when teams are healthy as they can be, teams can compete. And in the age of the transfer portal also, a lot of teams can compete on those opening couple weekends.
We're seeing that from the Lobos right now. Humphrey swallowed up in the backfield. Cameron Brandt got a beat on the back, and that'll end the third.
We're talking about how things are getting a little chippy between these two teams. On the last scoring drive for New Mexico, Jason Eck was very enthusiastic with his team on the sidelines. He went right over to the offensive line. He said, keep your eyes on that scoreboard. They're trying to pull us into their game. Don't fall for it. Eyes on the score and keep believing. Let's go.
It's been impassioned from Eck the entire way. It actually just got knocked back to Lane, who caught it on the carom and took it back to the 40.
Yeah, made it into a positive play. The last time we saw a ball get deflected in the pocket, it ended up in an interception by TJ Guy. This one comes right back to Lane, and he does the smart thing of just going forward and turning a bad play into a positive play.
Etta got the hand on it, but it's still 3rd down and 11.
This is the time where TJ Guy and Derek Moore really pin their ears back. These two guys on the edge.
They're going to hand it off. Nothing doing. McKinney couldn't find the crease, and Moore, who was initially rushing, comes back around along with Brandt and helps make the play. Now it's 4th down, and it doesn't look like the offense is going anywhere.
Well, you have to punt the football here, don't you? The 4th quarter just started. Can you maybe draw them off sides? And I mean, you are 4 for 11 on 3rd down. This is a 4th down play, and you need 9 yards.
And they will run it. Lane, step into it, deliver a deep shot. He's got a man, and it's picked. Brandon Hillman tracked it. And the second interception for Lane is essentially a punt.
Well, that's Exactly what I was saying. That in essence is the same as punting the football. That's why Jack Lane doesn't look upset on that play. You take a shot down the field, maybe you get a pass interference, maybe you come away with the catch. Worst case scenario, you tackle after the interception, and it's just like punting the football.
The good old arm punt.
Yeah. I mean, you don't like it for your stats if you're a quarterback.
Well, it's his first ever multi-interception game.
Yeah, but it's an effective play, and now your defense, is in good position to start this Michigan possession.
So it does essentially flip the field and get Michigan back to their own 20. Lane will go back to the side, watch some on the tablet. Michigan's offense will try to find that rhythm they had early in this game. Swing it, Samaj Morgan stays on his feet, crosses the 25, and gets dragged down at the 28-yard line.
This is a close game, and probably a lot of people thought that Michigan should have blown out. I mean, the point spread was significant in this game. New Mexico has been a game opponent. But let's not forget, Bryce Underwood just turned 18.
Yep.
It's his first start. He's a freshman. He's thrown for 231 yards, and this is a team that barely averaged 130 yards passing a game last year.
Up the middle, and Justice Haynes finds enough of the crease to move the sticks.
Now running the football, if you're Michigan, this is when you need to run the football. It's the fourth quarter, all right? You've got to lead. You want to eat clock. You want to wear down a defense. And when Michigan has been at their best, this is when they take a team's will by running the football. Can they do it here? They've only run the football for 137 yards, and 100 of that came in the first quarter of this football game.
Another handoff, this time Jordan Marshall. And he'll pick up 3 yards on first down.
Jordan Marshall.
Remember in the national championship season of 2023 when Michigan played at Penn State and Sharon Moore was filling in as the head coach. At one point late in the game, they ran the ball 32 consecutive plays, just daring Penn State to stop them running the football. And that's a mindset, and that's a will to take another team's will. And they're in a similar situation right now. Can they control the game with their offensive line?
Nothing to pay attention to. Watch how excited Bryce Underwood gets after every big run. Play action this time. Looking towards the sideline, and it's caught. McCulley came back to the football, and that's a first down as we go to KT.
Mexico defense is playing without senior captain safety Austin Brawley. He went into the medical tent, came out with his right cleat off. He was being helped by the medical staff, went up the ramp to the New Mexico locker room, and there's no update right now on his status as far as his return to this game, guys.
Well, he's a key factor. I mean, he's a key, not just player, but communicator in the back of that defense. Michigan trying to spread out this New Mexico defense right now.
Run it. Haynes, hole, Haynes, already broke one loose, looking to do it again. Will they catch him? Haynes, pylon, and he's down at the 1. He goes 59 yards, up to 158 in his Michigan debut.
Well, a couple big-time blocks on this play as Haynes tries to get to the end zone. They spread him out by formation.
They get quickly up to the line, and now they stop it, and we'll see if they go back to review that last
Prior
play.
to the snap, the previous play is under review.
It looked like his knee was down when the ball was around the 1-yard line. And again, some jaws.
Yeah, it looks down right there. Ball clearly behind the goal line. Bredesen with a big-time block on that play.
Terry, what do you see here?
Yeah, not only is the knee down, Noah, but when he touches the pylon, he's out of bounds, and he's clearly short at that point.
Good point. So, knee hits first, pylon second, and football was about the half-yard line at that point once he touched the pylon. So he's clearly short, but another just magnificent run for Haynes, who takes extra care of his body and has been talking up his offensive line for weeks.
Watch the block by Bredesen. Watch Evan Link, the left tackle, and then the freshman wide receiver who had a fumble on a kickoff gets a key block at the second level of defense.
Passer review, the
Block
ruling
right
on the
there.
field
is able
It's
to go.
first and goal.
Excellent blocking at the point of attack, but formationally, they spread out that New Mexico defense and then creased them on the inside. When you're a wide receiver blocking, you don't have to get a knockout block. You just need to get between the defender and the ball, and you've done your job. And that time, the freshman, Andrew Marsh, did his job.
You heard them call upheld, the new language this year as opposed to confirmed or stands. Everything will either be upheld or overturned. All that to say, it sets up first and goal from the 1. Haynes stays in there. Haynes up the middle. Touchdown! It's a Haynes hat trick.
Well, just kind of power wedge, you know, all those linemen trying to get pushed. They get an excellent push at the point of attack. In situations like that, the low man wins, and the Michigan offensive line was lower than the New Mexico defensive line, and Haynes is able to get the ball across the goal line. Really enjoyed talking to that young man yesterday at the Michigan football building. So honored, thrilled to be here after transferring from Alabama. What a way to play his first game.
Nevada sticks it through. Credit for the way they fought in this game, but Justice Haynes has had himself one heck of a Michigan debut with 159 yards, 3 touchdowns, extends it now to a 34-17 Wolverine cushion, and this will be a touchback for the Lobos. Let's take a quick Modelo game break with John Fanta.
No, Todd, the last time Kansas State was 0-2, Bill Snyder's first season, 1989. Wildcats want to keep that streak going. They score with less than a minute left. North Dakota needs a prayer, but K-State back up 3.
Now, prayers can be answered, especially in week 1. And after the week 0 crazy game in Dublin, Kansas State needs to find someone quick.
We talked about the depth of this Michigan defense. They got a guy in right now that I want to pay attention to, Nate Marshall, number 94. He's up here. He's a freshman defensive end. Wink Martindale gushed about him as much as any player, said he doesn't know a lot right now except how to get to the quarterback. He'll have a chance.
Handoff, gain of 3 for Damon Bankston. There is a good look at Marshall, the freshman from Oak Park, Illinois. All-conference basketball player as well. His mom actually played in the WNBA, so athletic family, 4-star recruit, and the sky appears to be the limit at 6'3", 240.
Yeah, Wink told me, he says, this guy doesn't know how great he can be, but he's got everything that takes to be a future first-round draft pick. And he knows what they look like. He had 2 of them last year at the defensive tackle position.
And Michigan's had 17 defensive linemen drafted the last 11 years. That one's dropped by Michael Buckley. 3rd and 7. That is a hard stat to fathom. 17 defensive linemen over 11 straight NFL drafts.
Yep.
Wink Martindale had 2 in the top 13 with Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant last year. Michigan in the last 2 NFL drafts have had 20 players drafted, 13 in 2024, 7 last year, with 4 of them coming, they get 5 of them in the first 3 rounds, 4 of them in the first 2. Quick throw, quick catch, Johnson exploding forward, he's got the first down.
Good strength. You got to get rid of the ball quick. Good play call because you know the rush is coming. The ball's out quickly, and then watch the strength of Keegan Johnson. Picks up a block by the freshman and then runs through an arm tackle to get that first down.
So fresh set of downs, approaching 9 minutes to play. Lane, quick throw, quick catch. Another one for Dorian Thomas. That is his 10th catch of the day to go with his 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's been impressive. I mean, the coaches told us they felt really good about him athletically. They thought he could be a weapon for him. He's kind of been hobbling around most of the second half, but has been extremely productive.
See the 71 yards, 2 touchdowns. We'll see how conservative they get in terms of keeping him off the field the rest of the way. They're really excited about their freshman tight end, Cade Keith, as well. He He's in there, big number 88. Lane on the move. Sets the feet. Now he's going to tuck and run. He's got enough for the first down and then some. Slides down past midfield into Michigan territory.
Good decision by Lane. First of all, good move. Calling the play, getting him out of the pocket, not having him be a sitting duck back in the pocket, and then he saw the green grass and converted the first down.
Hand off. Bankston. Got to go backward and picks up a couple more to the 42.
I just can't tell you how impressed I am with this New Mexico team, how they have fought, how they have competed. They have not backed down. They've not backed away. Jason Eck told us that he thought they would do that.
Lane. Got it. It's caught. Michael Buckley gets away from a couple tacklers. He's inside the red zone.
Good protection. Lane's able to step up in the pocket, get the ball to Buckley. And now New Mexico in the red zone. Again, this is a team that has 75 new players, and this is the first game. They've not had a lot of penalties. They've not had a lot of mistakes. I mean, it just speaks to the coaching job by Jason Eck and his staff to get this team ready to play at this kind of level.
Only one penalty all day. Lane got drilled, and it's picked. Threw it in a danger zone, and Cole Sullivan rips it down for the Wolverines.
Well, he threw it in a danger zone because the guy we were talking about, Nate Marshall, came on an inside stunt. Teams in that part of the world that maybe a lot of us don't see, North Dakota, South Dakota State, Montana State, Idaho, they play a good brand of football. I mean, there are some really good football players in that part of the world at the college level, both FBS and FCS level.
As Marshall gets to the 6-yard line on that first carry, a lot of those FCS players, those are the top-tier guys that easily could be Power 4 level players. They get to the NFL. You look at the Michigan offense.
I mean, look at
difference.
That's yards per play last year, one of the worst in the country. Tonight, 7.8 yards per play. Freshman quarterback, they went out and got him. They brought in Chip Lindsey from North Carolina. They brought in a running back, a wide receiver out of the portal. And a very productive night for this new-look Michigan offense.
Marshall stood up at the line of scrimmage. He has had a tough day at the office so far. 11 carries, 29 yards, compared to Justice Haynes, 15 carries, 159 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Now, 2 of those were just massive runs, one for the touchdown.
Right.
But there's a full expectation that this is going to be a really impressive 1-2 punch out of the backfield for Michigan this year. Of course, with Bredesen leading the way as now a 2-time captain, sporting that big 4-4. Here's a 3rd down and 6 deep in their territory. Underwood fires, Klein caught short of the first down. Good sure tackle by Dimitri Johnson.
Dimitri Johnson was a returning starter. Started for the Lobos last year. Kind of lost his job to Jackson Eck. But a nice play right there, stopping Klein short of the first down. Klein is bigger and stronger, but Dimitri Johnson with a physical tackle right at the catch.
So now Michael Buckley is back there to return after we saw a little bit of Austin Brawley, but now with him injured, Buckley or Brian Kelly, and this would be one way to get off the schneid after what appeared to be a defensive slugfest, maybe a little bit, as Fanta said, separation. Meanwhile, go for it. It is Lane on the quick pitch to the outside. The freshman Smith with the catch. Clock continues to move. Great starting field position for New Mexico. We've seen them be willing to go in the hurry out. Jason Eck was hopeful that they would play to the standard he expected as Lane got hit hard as he released that one. Again, it's Marshall just showcasing his pass rushing ability.
I mean, this is the kind of game and the time in a game when you would put him in. I mean, New Mexico's not going to hurt him running the football. Good inside, quick move. He's got natural
make the line to gain its third down.
I'll tell you what, there's going to be some sore guys tonight, but nobody is going to be more sore than Jack Lane on that plane ride back to Albuquerque.
Hopefully they get him a lay flag. A run, not much doing for Deshaun Buchanan. So fourth down from midfield will be 4th and 4. Jack Lane, he might be sore, but he's going to be holding his head very high.
Yeah, this whole team should. I mean, Jason X got to be proud of his football team. They came out here, they didn't back down, they got down early, they hung in there, they believed, they competed. They knew it was going to be tough, but he wanted to come in here and at least do enough things well that they could have some positive momentum going forward for the rest of their season. Their goal is to try to make it to a bowl game this year. I mean, that's where they're aiming.
Lane trying to get away, and he's sacked. Sullivan had the pick on the last drive, and he takes down the quarterback this go-round.
Cole Sullivan is a guy that just gets better and better. He really changed his body this offseason, put on some weight and strength. He's a smart football player out of Pittsburgh Central Catholic, the same high school that produced Dan Marino and so many other big-time players. Had the pick, almost got a strip sack there, but still locks Lane down with the sack on 4th down.
You asked Ernest Hausman about Sullivan yesterday. He said he's gotten to know him a lot better because they roomed together during camp this year. And the reason that his improvement has been so clear is because his routine every day is consistent. Gets up, same deal when he understands what he's doing at each moment of the day. And he says he trusts him on the field because he knows the preparation has been so impressive, so detailed, as Haynes gets swallowed up about a half yard behind the line of scrimmage by Xavier Slayton and Dimitri Johnson. How about Justice Haynes? We talk about all the little things. We asked what his dad, Veron, who was an NFL player, won a Super Bowl with the Steelers, taught him and instilled in him. He talked about discipline, being willing to sacrifice, and he sacrificed a lot in terms of food. No junk food. You asked about one ingredient food, as Sharon Moore was talking about. He was a little misguided, but he's incredibly healthy, does a ton of work on his body, as Underwood slings a little too high for Klein. But Haynes comes in, he's like a Greek god at 5'11", 210. The way he was talking to us, it was reminding me of Brad Pitt and Friends. He said, my two greatest enemies are Rachel Green and complex carbohydrates.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was impressive just how dialed in he was to his diet, to his sleep, to his recovery, to his stretching, to everything he's doing. He made the point, the little things matter. All the little things are what make the difference between good and great, and he is totally committed to being the best version of himself he can be.
3rd down and 10. Underwood looking to show a couple more highlights. Dump it down. Haynes makes the catch. Can he be special? Spins away from one, gets away from a second, and Haynes finally brought down at the 35-yard line.
A tremendous effort by Haynes, but also outstanding effort by this New Mexico defense fighting on that 3rd down play.
Smart play from Underwood to get it to his star back. What an effort just to gain 8 yards. It's at the 35-yard line. Zavada has more than enough leg here, but you wonder if...
Now you want to run the clock here. I mean, I think as much as anything.
Also, how much do you think Sharon Moore wants to give Bryce Underwood more teaching opportunities just for game reps, as they're going to take this all the way to 2:16? Do they put him back out there just so...
Their second and a half, 30 seconds.
After this, if there's a situation like this later in the season, he's prepared, he's been in it before?
Well, I mean, they are nearing victory situation now, you know, so I don't know that he needs to practice that. Obviously, he'll finish this drive. If they do get the ball back again, I would expect we would see the backup Jaden Davis, get him a little game action, but Underwood has been impressive. I mean, his skills have been on display. His poise is something that you weren't sure what to expect. Would he have first game jitters? Would he be nervous? Would he make bad decisions? He has made excellent decisions. He's been accurate. He's thrown on the move. He's thrown from the pocket. We didn't see him run at all. He never left the pocket and made a play with his legs, but we know that's part of what he can do. And quite honestly, That's something he probably will have to do against a very sticky defense that Oklahoma has next week. Brent Venables calling the defensive signals again. That is a very feisty defense that he'll face next week.
Michigan fourth in the Big Ten on fourth down conversions last year. This one's a 4th and 2 for Underwood. Put him on the move, pumped. Underwood trying to stay upright, and he's finally piled up. A sack for this New Mexico defense to get the stop on 4th down.
Big time play again, and this goes back to what we were talking about with Jason Eck's team. No quit, fighting to the end, coming up with a big play on 4th down, stopping Underwood. Xavier Slayton, the first guy there to kind of wrap him up.
So New Mexico will get the football back, 2:09 to play. Lane will stay out there despite taking a number of hits. New Mexico after this will be home for Idaho State. They do have another Big Ten opponent on the road. They go to UCLA week 3, September 12th. The catch, Johnson goes backward as Troy Bowles comes in and makes the play. We head to the 2-minute timeout here in the 4th. 34-7, 3-2, and then he's going to miss the season opener in 2026. Coming down from the NCAA over the last couple of weeks. Shot down the sideline and a lot of grabbing, and a flag does come in along that sideline as Johnson was looking for the football.
Now, the other thing worth noting about the suspension that Sharon has to go through is, unlike in 23 when Jim Harbaugh was suspended.
Pass interference, defense number 22, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Jim Harbaugh wasn't allowed to be at the game, but he was able to coach the team during the week of practice, and the rule has changed now in the NCAA. As you see the penalty, Sharon Moore not only will not be able to be at the game, he won't be able to coach the team during those 2 weeks of practice. So he'll have to delegate among his staff and navigate their way through that. And one of those 2 games, a very difficult test on the road in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Another vicious hit from this Michigan defense. Dominic Nichols on the blind side just destroys Jack Lane.
Well, he's working against a tight end, okay? This is a mismatch. A good edge rusher against a tight end. He just knocks him back, and then a beeline to the quarterback. Again, Michigan not really playing run here. They're just pinning their ears back and going after the quarterback. And again, we see the depth of this Michigan defense. We've seen 4 or 5 edge players. We've seen 5 or 6 defensive tackles, several linebackers, several DBs. Wink Martindale's defense is deep.
Bankston shimmies his way to the outside, out of bounds, past the initial line of scrimmage. It'll be 3rd down. Keep our eyes around the rest of the Big Ten. Michigan and Ohio State back-to-back national champs. First time since 1942 in Minnesota. And Ohio State won in 41 and 42. Penn State ranked number 2 in the preseason poll. Jim Knowles coming in as defensive coordinator this year.
Yeah, a lot of people saying, is this Penn State's year? They kind of followed the same script of Ohio State last year, Michigan the year before. Many of their key guys deciding to come back, make another run for it after coming up short in the semifinals. I'll say this, if you're into this kind of connecting the dots, Drew Aller is a multi-year starter at quarterback for Penn State. He's from Medina, Ohio. The last Penn State national championship, 1986, John Schaefer was the quarterback, a multi-year starter from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
And the first Penn State national championship,
Who was that?
the quarterback was a multi-year starter from Canton, Ohio.
Huh. Who was that?
That was yours truly.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
The point is, it was 3 Ohio quarterbacks. Could this be the right year for Drew Aller and Penn State?
I like the way you're thinking. Some people call it conspiracy, others call it truth.
Yes.
Either way, we're going to find out. We found out earlier today in Columbus, Julian Sayin starting his first game as Ohio State takes down Texas. Arch Manning had a little push late in that game, but couldn't quite get over the hump. As you look at this big bulletin unusual suspects inside the top 20. How about Illinois, highest AP preseason poll since 1990. Indiana, fourth ever time that they were ranked in a preseason poll and deserved all of that. This is a free play here for New Mexico. Lane going to take the shot, and that was picked, but it is going to come back.
Those two teams, Illinois and Indiana, are going to be heading towards a titanic clash in Bloomington in a couple weeks.
Well, you just think about what that's going to mean potentially for the Big Ten standings
Offside,
later in the season.
Defense number 88. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
With those two teams, the schedule they have the rest of the year, it's very much up for grabs for whoever wins that game for a potential shot
on the snap
at the Big Ten championship game this season.
Yeah. You know, Michigan's schedule is really interesting this year. For the first time, maybe ever, they only have 6 home games. They have 6 road games, 6 home games. So that's kind of odd. But they have Ohio State at home. They don't play Penn State. They don't play Oregon. They don't play Illinois. And they don't play Iowa. All teams that are difficult opponents. I think this Michigan team, if they keep developing, if Bryce Underwood keeps developing, this is a team that could win 10 football games and be right back up in that conversation in the upper echelon of the Big Ten.
Well, a 10-win season in the Big Ten gets you to the college football playoff. We saw that last year, and obviously it will depend on the rest of the country and how that all shakes out. But given the talent, given where they've started the season, where they're ranked at 14, it'd be hard to fathom them winning 10 games and not getting into the college football playoff. Quick throw and catch to the outside for Johnson. He'll scoot out of bounds with 21 seconds remaining. New Mexico trying to finish strong here. Jack Lane trying to keep the peace between these two teams. For New Mexico, as mentioned, after this one, go back home with Idaho State. Then another challenge at UCLA. And given what we've seen here today, that is not going to be a simple game for the Bruins.
No, it won't be. This team is, I'm impressed with them. And again, 75 new players. Jason Eck told us we had to invest as much time building team, more so than our schemes and our plays, because we had to make sure our guys got to know each other before they started working on playing together.
Lane rolls, throws, caught, and Bankston gets out of bounds with 15 seconds left. He did tell us that they had a competition who could name every single one of their teammates. It took them until the 5th guy to get even close, and the 5th guy eventually got it. But Eck has talked about building team year to year versus building culture in this modern landscape of college football.
Yeah, and I know he's hoping if they can have some success, get to a bowl game, then maybe they can retain a better portion of their roster, a higher percentage of their guys, and not have to do a wholesale makeover at the end of this year.
Quick catch, Johnson out of bounds, first down. So 10 seconds left. New Mexico trying to get some more points on the board. Jack Lane up over 200 yards against this Michigan defense. He's thrown the ball 46 times, and he's taken a number of big hits.
I think for the most part, he's really done a good job of getting rid of the ball quickly, not holding on to it too long. The one interception was not his fault. The other two, he kind of forced the issue, couldn't follow through, got pressure in the pocket. But he has shown a lot of courage going against this Michigan defense.
First down, Lane, dump, Bankston is going to be caught up at the 4-yard line, and New Mexico is going to take a timeout with 3 seconds left.
Why not? Why not take one more play and try to score a touchdown?
30 seconds.
Well, again, Jason Eck said there's no moral victories. Doesn't like the term moral victories, but it's the positive momentum, and this is an opportunity to keep establishing it for next week.
And what this says, and what he can tell his team in the locker room, says, look, you guys didn't give up all the way to the end, and I didn't give up all the way to the end, okay? We're not going to take a knee and fall on the ball and go shake hands and say it was great to be here in the big house. We're going to try to score one more play, and this is no kind of gamesmanship. This is doing what's best for your football team going forward. And it's up to Michigan, whoever they have, whatever 11 they have on the field right now, to come up with a stop.
New Mexico, 8 consecutive losing seasons. Their last winning season was 2016, where they went 9-4, won the New Mexico Bowl over UTSA with Bob Davie as their head coach. Could this be the start of their first winning season since? Lane, drop back, and why not? One final sack for this Michigan defense. Troy Bowles ends the game for the Wolverines.
Troy Bowles, his dad is the head coach of the Buccaneers, and I asked Wink,